I believe in God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth. I believe in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. On the third day he rose again. He ascended into heaven. He is seated at the right hand of the Father, and he will come to judge the living and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and the life everlasting. Amen. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of Coffee, the Bible, and Paige. I'm your caffeine-imbued host. Here's my coffee, Paige. And today we're going to be getting back in Exodus 24. God has just delivered the Decalogue, or the Ten Commandments, to Israel. And what is also known as the Covenant Code, which is the code that surrounds the Ten Commandments, applies the Ten Commandments, if you will. We just got done finishing that in the previous chapters. Now we're getting ready for Moses to actually go up on the mountain himself and spend time with God and receive the Ten Commandments in the tablet form that we all know from the Charlton Heston movie, The Ten Commandments. So without any further ado, let's get started. Here it is, chapter 24. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. You are to worship at a distance. But Moses alone is to approach the Lord. The others must not come near, and the people may not come up with him." And when Moses went and told the people all the Lord's words, the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments, and the laws, which we just read in previous chapters, they responded with one voice, "Everything the Lord has said, we will do." So they agreed to this covenant that's been proposed by God. He got up early the next morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and set up 12 stone pillars representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent young Israelite men, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as fellowship offerings to the Lord. Now these offerings sealed the covenant. God proposed the covenant. Israel accepted. These offerings are sealing that covenant, indicating that God's acceptance of Israel was on the basis of blood atonement for sin. Now Moses took half of the blood and put it in bowls, and the other half he splashed against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it to the people. They responded, "We will do everything the Lord has said. We will obey." Now usually this phrase is applied to the covenant code, the book of the covenant, but here it must also include the Ten Commandments. Basically, Moses is reiterating to the people what they say they've agreed to. Moses then took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, "This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words." This is a really important deal. This is a big deal. And the symbolism here is huge. God sealed this covenant with the blood of sacrificed animals, signifying that death is part of this covenant. It takes the death to seal this covenant in blood. But as covenants were done in those days, this also demonstrates the penalty for breaking the covenant. Do you remember the covenant that God made with Abraham, where Abraham walked down between several slaughtered animals, half on one side, half on the other, or where he slaughtered these animals, and then God walked down between those two, signifying to Abraham what was about to happen. That was a covenant ceremony where normally two people join hands and walk between these sacrificed animals, signifying to each other, if either you or I break this covenant, then so be it done unto me as was done unto these animals. Death is the price for breaking this covenant between you and I. Well, this is like that. But in that Abrahamic covenant, if you remember, God alone walked through those sacrifices, signifying, in essence, Abraham if I break this covenant, I will be killed. Abraham, if you break this covenant, I will be killed. It's a foreshadowing of what Jesus would do for us on the cross, and this is that as well. With the blood sealing the covenant, Israel, remember, a death seals this covenant. And if you break this covenant, death is the price you must pay. This is, again, foreshadowing, looking forward to the time of Jesus, when Jesus would be the sacrifice. Now, remember, all these sacrifices that we see, all these ceremonies, they're foreshadowing. They're looking forward to Messiah. That's God's plan. It's been his plan all along to bring Messiah into mankind. And everything is setting up for the time when Messiah would come. And prior to Messiah's coming, these sacrifices, these ceremonies, they show glimpses of the truth. They show a picture of what God is getting ready to do. You know, Paul said in the New Testament, 1 Corinthians 13, we see through a glass darkly. Well, that's what's happening here. These are symbols. These are examples. These are demonstrations that demonstrate God's plan. God's plan is to destroy sin. God's plan is to restore man in fellowship. God's plan is to bring Messiah in order to do that. And Messiah will sacrifice, and his blood will cover us like this blood covered the people of Israel. The people are sprinkled with the blood of the covenant, the blood that puts the covenant into effect. The blood signified cleansing from sin, so the people might enter the covenant relationship. And it underscored that the ultimate penalty for breaking the covenant was death, like I said. Jesus proclaimed the fulfillment of the symbolism of the Last Supper when he offered the cup. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. Now Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel went up and saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a pavement made of lapis lazuli, as bright blue as the sky. But God did not raise his hand against those leaders of the Israelites. They saw God, and they ate and drank. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me in the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and commandments I have written for their instruction." Then Moses set out with Joshua his aide, and Moses went up the mountain of God, and he said to the elders, "Wait here for us until we come back to you. Aaron and Hur are with you, and anyone involved in a dispute can go to them." When Moses went up on the mountain, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain. And on the 7th day, the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. To the Israelites, the glory of the Lord looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Then Moses entered the cloud as he went on up the mountain, and he stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. This is an exciting time. Now, a couple things. Almost everybody who's listening to these podcasts, you've read the Bible. You know what's going to happen. Israel has agreed to the covenant with God. And they recognize, by agreeing to the covenant, they're saying, we recognize that the penalty for breaking the covenant is death. Now, man is incredibly short-sighted. Rarely do we look at the big picture. Yes, the penalty for sin is death. And you're going to see again and again, we know that Israel is going to break God's commandments again and again and again. And I remember for years thinking, why couldn't they get it in their head? They had a relationship with the God of the universe, who was the God of that entire nation. Why couldn't they get it into their heads that if they could just obey these commandments, such blessings would come upon them? Well, Paul demonstrates, and Jesus demonstrates in their words, that the commandments really, in truth, cannot be kept. The commandments weren't given to make anybody holy. The commandments were given to show you what God looks like. The commandments were given to show you what holiness looks like. And the fact that you can't and I can't and Israel couldn't maintain the level of holiness that the commandments call for only demonstrates our need for a God's mercy. You know, when I was getting my degree in music composition, one of the reasons I decided to go for it and get it at the age of 60 was because I had fallen in love with the Mass of the Catholic Church. I had been studying the Mass. I have been listening to it, meditating on it. And I fell in love with it because it's such a perfect picture of the progression of the Christian life. It starts off with something called the Kyrie. And Kyrie just means mercy, Lord. And there's two phrases, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy. Kyrie eleison, Christe eleison, Christe eleison, Kyrie eleison. Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy. It starts off with a cry for mercy. And when you cry for mercy, it's the cry of someone who has no capability of achieving that on their own. When you're crying for mercy, you're asking for grace. You're asking that the person to whom is owed everything forgives you everything. It's a powerful concept. Here's the truth. We need God's mercy. Israel's going to need God's mercy and receives it again and again and again. We need God's mercy because we cannot keep this. Does that make the law evil? No. The law is just a reflection of who God is. If you are truly part of God's nature, you'll have no other God before him. You'll remember the Sabbath. You won't kill. You won't murder. You won't harm your neighbor in any such way. You won't covet. You won't steal. You will reflect the nature of God if you keep these commandments, because you're reflecting the way God thinks and acts. But the truth is, we can't do that. For a short time, for a short little bit perhaps, we can keep this commandment or that commandment. I can honestly say that at any one given moment in time, I've kept any one of these commandments for a short period of time. Can you see how stupid it is? We can't keep it. We can't. So what God is doing with Israel here, he's setting the stage. He's preparing the path for Messiah. And he's preparing them to realize that blood is required for forgiveness of sins. Blood is required for relationship with God, because that's what this is. This is a covenant of relationship. This is like a marriage. When I married my wife, like I said before, when I married my wife, in essence, I'm telling her, I will have no other woman in the same room with me and you. I will have no other woman before you. God is saying, don't have any other gods before me. Don't have any other gods in the same room with me. It's a covenant of relationship. And if you are in true relationship with him, then the fruit of that relationship will be what these commandments, the Decalogue, bears out. And the sadness is, we are shot through with sin and we cannot keep it. But the answer is coming. And the picture of that answer is contained in what Moses did here. He sealed the covenant with blood. A death sealed the covenant with Israel. The death of Christ, our Messiah, sealed the covenant that God has with you and I. The blood signifies that death is required and setting the stage for the coming Messiah. It's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, well, that's all for today. I hope you have a fabulous and incredible day. Tomorrow we'll be going to Exodus chapter 25. See you later. Bye-bye. You know, it's been said that the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed, and the New Testament is the Old Testament revealed. I think that's a good way of looking at it. As we go through the rest of Exodus, it would be well to keep that in mind. This is a picture of the truth. And ultimately, the sacrifice of Christ on the cross for us is the ultimate realization of everything we're reading about here. God's ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. For that matter, my thoughts shouldn't be your thoughts. You need to think for yourself. Have a great day. Bye-bye.